So here's what
Crazy.
happened. As is the case these days with the weird stuff going on, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, grabbed my phone, looked at my Facebook feed, and at the top of the feed was your post of Marquee Moon, which of course I
Oh, that's
listened to
funny.
immediately. And it was like blowing me away. I can't believe this is happening. And so I
Right.
thank you for
That's
that.
awesome.
So I have to ask,
No
what
worries.
prompted this thing?
I think it was just one of those. We were in lockdown 4, and everyone was doing videos with their from home, and I just was like, just for a laugh, I was like, I just literally, I think I emailed all of Luna, including Britta.
Yeah.
Is it time to do Marquee Moon? And it was just a sort of I don't even think we could have done it. It wasn't something that I thought we would be able to do, but I just thought, let's give it a go. And I actually imagined it being a live Zoom thing, which would have
Right.
been really cool.
Yeah.
But we just couldn't coordinate that. So everyone was just like, initially it was like, that's ridiculous, blah, 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 blah. Sacrilege, and then eventually Lee, or not so much out of the blue, but Lee, about a week later, just sent me the drum track. He drummed live and filmed it. He said, here's my drum track. And so we were like, oh shit, okay, we're on. So
That's
it
very
was
cool.
more of it was kind of a
so was it built up track by track like that? I assumed it had to start with the drums.
Yeah, so what we did was, because I don't think there's an inherent level of laziness through Luna that's been there forever. And I say laziness in the sense that it's not so much laziness. It's just very low key. The music's quite low key, and so is the way we do things or used to do things. It basically comes from the top, like comes from Dean, who is too stoic for his own good. So the idea of doing it live was just too much of a hassle. Seemed too hard to coordinate.
Right.
And I think at that point we were kind of like, we probably can't do it justice live anyway. So once Lee set the drums, I did some bass and I sent it out to the boys and Britta and said, here's the rhythm track. And to my surprise, actually, Sean, who did most of the guitars, about a week later sent back like 4 or 5 tracks of stuff that he'd done.
Right.
And I don't know about you, but I put it on. I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing guitar playing.
Yeah, definitely.
And as Dean and I sort of discussed, Marquee Moon is a bit like a concerto. It's a bit like every note is mapped out by Tom Verlaine, and Richard Lloyd's part is all mapped out and everything, and everything's mapped out. The only thing that actually seems a little random is like the hi-hat of the drums. Everything else seems locked in.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had to approach it like that. We couldn't, we definitely didn't feel like we could riff on it and do a version of it, because that would be like doing a lame-ass version of a good song.
And yes, it's very faithful to the original, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. We kind of realized we had to go all the way. So and so Sean sent that back, and I started putting it together, and then I sent that mix to them, and they were all of them were just like, oh, this is actually sounding pretty good. And then Dean sent back some guitars, and then he did the vocal, and he couldn't get up to the top. He actually spoke to Tom Verlaine and
oh, really?
Yeah, and said, we're doing a cover of Marquee Moon, and don't hate us for it. And they talked about the vocals, and even Tom said, for the last 20 years, I haven't really been able to get up there.
Right.
So don't worry about it. But the vocals, what happened was it turned into a very lunified version of a Marquee Moon, but it's really faithful. So we ended up being, I think all of us ended up being, wow, this is actually pretty cool. We should put it out.
It is pretty cool. And there was no discussion of doing any other song. It was obvious that you had to do Marquee Moon.
Well, I think it was, I haven't been in the band for 20 years, right?
Right.
So it wasn't like I was kind of like, hey, you guys, we should work together, because, I don't feel that way. And I see the boys and Britta all the time, and, we're all, very tight. But
yeah, I saw you guys at the Tuning Fork about 5 years ago, and you sat in with the band.
Yeah. So that was fun. Yeah. And actually,
good.
I went to New York for the last year to play at the Barry Ballroom a couple of nights just for a laugh. So I've played it with them a few times, but it's more for me. It's more about just getting together with them and having a little jam. But so my initial email was kind of cheeky. It was a bit out of the blue. Like, it was just like, we're all sitting around doing nothing. Is it time to do Marquee Moon? I didn't really expect them. I expected Dean to say, "Don't be stupid. We can't do it." So here we are. And
next thing you know, he's talking to Tom Verlaine. So there you go.
That's right. Yeah. It was weird because he sort of took it seriously about a week later. And I was like, oh, that's pretty weird for Dean, because Dean's usually just like, unless we, I think what had happened was he'd started doing some online Zoom stuff with Dean and Britta live concerts.
Right.
And I think he'd sort of got, I don't know this for sure, but it felt like he'd sort of started to enjoy this kind of relationship with the audience through the computer. And they're doing really well. They're doing lots of stuff, put out a record. And I think he thought, oh yeah, well, why not?
Why not?
In lockdown.
If you can do it, do it. So did you actually did you mix the thing together once you got all the tracks?
Yeah, so they sent it back to me, and I just started to mix it and send them versions, and like I said, it just sort of all sounded really good, and I didn't really have to do too much to it. The only thing I did was did some selects on Sean is notorious for 40,000 versions of the same thing.
Right.
So it took me about a week to go through and find his best moments, but the moments that are there are actually full chunks. I didn't do any cutting up.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I just picked the best version. So while it wasn't live on the internet, every track is live from the start to the finish.
It's an actual performance then.
Yeah. So like Lee's is direct. I did mine and filmed it at the same time, and Dean did the vocals and filmed it at the same time. So that was the only thing I sort of insisted on when I asked them to send me stuff. I said, just record it and film it, so when I get the footage back, the guitar playing matches the,
Yeah.
And it also forced them into not getting down into like, so all of that left-hand guitar, which is the Tom Verlaine stuff, is literally just one big long take until it gets to the lead break, and that I was actually I know Sean's an amazing guitarist, but I was completely blown away by his execution. So hopefully,
so you put together the video as well, right?
Yeah. So the video was a case of, I said to them, send me the footage when you send me the track, and the footage was just terrible. Like, it was
really.
It was just, well,
it looks great.
No, it looks great now, but it was all filmed on cameras, and they got their girlfriends and wives to and they propped up against. There's a lot of footage of Sean playing, and you see his head and the top of his guitar, but you can't see any of his hands. And so I was I got the footage because I was initially going to make it kind of feel like a Zoomy thing. But I was sort of sick of that by this point, because it was sick of, I actually think it's sort of a little detrimental to a lot of bands doing that, because it's not as cool as it looks. But also the footage was sort of too bad just didn't look very good. So I just started to muck about with it, and I found this. I just found that if you turn it into a kaleidoscopic thing and you can't quite see which side of the picture you're on, it eliminates all it. But if you have a really close look, don't do this, but if you close look at, there's a shot of Sean split in half playing guitar both ways, but all around him is just garbage in his apartment, cables and his girlfriend's handbag,
Right.
So it was like, if I'd used the actual shot, it would just be like, oh my God, So it was really just.
I was very impressed with the video. I loved it.
To be,
yeah, the video is great. Because like I said, I got
up
this morning.
Also, it's 10 minutes long, so it was a real. Yeah.
Right. So.
The song's 10 minutes long, so it was like, that's a big long video, but it seems to hold people's attention, so that's good.
Absolutely, yeah, because it is 10 minutes and some change. Oh, there's your dog.
Yeah, there he is.
I'm meeting all sorts of people's pets by doing all these Zoom interviews.
It's the best part
fantastic.
Yeah, the best
My
part about
cat's
the
around my
lockdown
feet.
is, yeah, best part
But
of the lockdown is seeing
so
the
what
kids.
else are you up to music wise besides this?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not really doing any music. Uh, I'm helping my daughter make an album. Actually, she's
Okay.
for years and years and years. We told my wife and I told her how famous I was and how much
Right.
music I've made and all the studios I've worked in, and she was horrendously unimpressed and not interested. And then just a few, she's 20 now, but maybe about a year ago, she was kind of like, she sort of discovered me for the first time properly. So then
Right.
she was just like, I'm making a record. Do you want to help me? So she comes over and we make music together, which is actually lots of fun.
I'll bet.
But there is still a father-daughter
Yeah.
thing that makes it a little bit difficult. Don't tell me what to do,
Yeah.
I didn't ask to be born.
I have 2 daughters myself, so yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty tough core. They're pretty tough. They're unrelenting, and
It gets better as they get older, though, I will say.
yeah, I know my kids are getting good now. Coco was walking at 8 months old because she was so determined. So I have to manage her. But yeah, that's all I'm really doing. I don't. I do a lot of soundtrack work for the shows I make and stuff like that, where I just sort of make music and then I put it into TV or into commercials
Right.
and stuff. But I don't do it officially because it's sort of to do it. I hate to say this because it sounds a bit wanky, but I always feel like to do music properly, you have to really be dedicated to what you're doing. It's sort of you have to take it very seriously.
Right.
Because you don't have to be serious about it, but you have to do it properly, or it just is sort of not very. It's like writing a book. Everyone can write a book, but to write a book that's worth reading,
Yeah.
you kind of have to do it properly.
Exactly.
So, and I always feel like whenever I'm sometimes asked to play with people and stuff, I kind of go, well, I come from a world where you write music and take it to the world, unless you're kind of doing that. And this is why I'm wrong in this position, but that's how I kind of feel about it. Like I feel like if I'm not committed 100% to the music, it feels a bit sort of
yeah.
I don't want to say pointless. I want to say not
half-hearted, I guess.
Not
you need to be in all the way.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. So do you know what the Luna folks are?
Well, yeah, and I think it's just. Yeah, so Dean and Britta are doing really well. They've got married. It was.
That's all.
He has
good.
to thank me for leaving the band. So he met the perfect woman, and she's amazing musician. And they kind of have got this little cottage industry going. They're actually making more money now in their house with their fans than they were when we were in Luna. Because we made money in record deals, but you never saw any other money.
Right.
Which was totally fine. We got travel around the world, but so they're doing that and doing really well, and he's doing virtual concerts now, and he's also Galaxy 500 is having a little bit of a it's not resurgent.
Yeah, I've seen him. I've seen write-ups and mentions about Galaxy 500 quite a bit lately. So
yeah,
there seems to be a renewed interest in what they were all about.
Well, someone organized cover. Famous people doing Galaxy covers.
No.
And so Thurston Moore and Lee Ronaldo and all those guys are doing covers. So that's getting a lot of press, and that's really, really great because I don't know if you ever got to see them, but they were sort of like a seminal band.
Yeah.
If you consider what was going on around them at the time, it was. I remember I was with the Chills, and we were playing at CBGB's. And I remember going into, I'd been told about Galaxy 500. This is like 88, 89, 88 probably. And I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see them because, there was Dinosaur Jr. and Sonic Youth and Buffalo Tom, all these big, it was all loud.
Yeah.
And they were playing at the Canteen, which was next door. It was at the Pizzeria. And before the Chills played. So I went in to see them, and it was like a pizzeria. It was like tables, people eating pizzas, phones going off on the bar, waiters. And right in the middle was this tiny little stage with these three people with one microphone, and they were like, it was like, and I remember like going, what the hell's going on? It was like,
Right.
like the Clean, if you'd taken all their guitar amps off them and turned them down and slowed them down and made them really quiet. And I was just like, this is crazy. And then they started to get a bit of traction, and you could see audiences. We go and see them. I mean, I saw them in Manchester and London, and there was Manchester, England, and there was probably about 800 people in the room. And they came on stage and started playing, and you could just almost feel the audience sort of like, what's happening? It was almost like a spiritual experience. And the reason why it was important was just because at the time it was all hardcore Pixies, loud, sub pop was taking off. And they were so unusual, and they would, you'd just feel at the end of the night, you'd be like, what? I don't know what just happened, but that was amazing. So I'm really happy but obviously one of my favorite bands of all time. So it's great that they're getting some, they still don't talk to each other though. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Bad breakup.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, they talk via email and text, but they don't.
Right.
But it's pretty.
Maybe it's best that way. Who knows?
It is, I think it is. I think they've all come to the conclusion that they like each other via email.
Right.
They, what would happen? They'd probably be totally fine if they saw each other. But
yeah, I'm sure.
All
righty. Well, thank you very much for getting up early in the morning and talking to me. I really appreciate it.
No, all good. I'm pleased.
And hopefully we'll see you on stage somewhere or something, and we'll look for your daughter's music.
Yeah, one day. Yeah. Well, if we do get something done, I'll send you.
Please do.
A demo tape.
Excellent. All right. Have a good day.
I did that. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
to me. Oh, he said, get in. Get in. And the Cadillac, it pulled back into the graveyard. Me, I got out again. struck itself. I was listening,